This video we have discussed about the basics of action potential and what is how it's even generated, how it's propagated, what is the importance of it. So importance is action potential is everything. So that makes life and that makes living organisms as a living organism, because there is a transmission of impulses across the body, transmitting information, so that it acts as a living organism. So an electric potential that is measured between 2 points in a living cell, tissue, organism is after there is a transmission of ions between in and out of the cell is called biopotential. So this biopotential can be an action potential or a resting membrane potential. It describes the transfer of information between and within the cells in the form of ions, and this when there is a transmission of ions that results in an electrochemical gradient. That gradient can be measured as millivolts. Okay, so the resting membrane potential is the cell at the rest condition. So when there is a resting membrane potential, there is more sodium and chloride outside and more potassium and proteins inside the cell, making the cell more negative. So this is a cell, and if you put a voltmeter, you will get minus 70 millivolts, and this is what inside the cell. This is outside the cell. So the bigger things show that they are more concentration outside the cell, and smaller things show the lesser concentration in a cell. So there is anions, proteins, which makes the cell negative, while there are chlorides and sodiums and potassium outside that makes them positive. So considering uh, the cell is uh, positive or negative in the resting when compared to the outside. Okay. So action potential. So when there is a threshold produces an action potential. To maximum value of action potential is generally plus 30 millivolt, and when that plus 30 millivolt reaches, that's a process is called depolarization. And after the process reaches the plus 30 millivolt, which is the threshold potential of potassium ions, potassium channels open, and that results in the efflux of potassium ions. It then makes the cells to minus the 92 millivolts, which is the equilibrium potential of the potassium. Then hyperpolarization happens. After hyperpolarization, cell is brought to resting membrane potential by sodium potassium pumps. Okay, so this is what happens during action potential. Sodium comes inside, makes the cell more positive. Now the cell goes plus to 20 millivolts. That's approximately minus 55 to 20 millivolts causes sign changes. So that is 75 millivolts is the total value. That's the equilibrium potential. But in the literature, we would have got something around 61 millivolts, which is approximately we can equate to 75 millivolts. That's based on the concentration given in a specific problem, right? Okay, so so how an action potential propagates? The action potential travels between the cells, as the cells are very closely aligned. So in nerve fiber, the action potential are transmitted when they are so when the action potential from the cell body reaches the axon. These axons are myelinated, so they jump in the nodes of Ranvier and reaches the synapse. Once it reaches the synapse, it emits the neurotransmitters, and it goes to the other synapse if it is directly connected to other neuron, or goes to muscles by emitting neurotransmitters. Okay. So propagation, this is what. So this propagation results basically in EMG when the neuron is connected to the muscle. It results in EEG when you directly taken from the brain. It results in ECG if it's a cardiac muscle. Okay, and please remember this is a diagram. Stimulus minus 55 millivolt that causes depolarization, then repolarization. So this phase is called refractory period. No stimulus will cause any action to this further action potential, and hyperpolarization. Then sodium potassium pump brings it to polarization. Uh, Polarized state, and this period is called hyperpolarized or relative refractory period. When a supra threshold comes, there can be an action potential. Okay, so another important and closely related thing is electrodes. So you get the signal. Now do you use this electrode? So electrode here, E is, refers to the body electrolyte. This is the body fluid. Electrolyte E is the action potential that is generated. This resistance and capacitance are the tissues and other subsiding layers that is available in the body that causes this circuitry. So there is a resistance to the current, and there is a storage of the current. There is a delay in the current. So this causes a reactance as well as an impedance to the generated action potential. Okay, so hence the electrode whatever that picks will be in a very noisy one, because of these equivalent elements available in the body. Okay, so this electrode should be further filtered, amplified, rectified, and so on to produce a useful biopotential signal such as ECG, EMG, etc. Okay.